Weather forecasting has improved dramatically over the past 40 years, in large part because of the launch of weather satellites. However, as these satellites age, the probability that one of them fails becomes greater. If a satellite were to fail, which may happen as early as 2016, a gap in weather and climatology data from polar orbiting satellites could also occur.
According to Dr. John Neese, Associate Head for Undergraduate Programs, Department of Meteorology, there is no gap at the moment and will only exist if a satellite were to fail. It has been talked about for years amongst meteorologists, but as time went on, since we haven't sent a replacement satellite, people have begun to talk about it more. If one of the polar orbiting satellites fails, then we will have to depend on data from satellites from other countries. It is unclear how the gap, if it occurs, will be problematic. Truth is, we will get somewhat less data into our computer models, and that might have an impact on the quality of forecasts, even though this is debated.
The debate about NOAA's polar orbiting satellites has been talked about in Congress since Superstorm Sandy back in 2012. However, costs and delays have held back in the replacement satellite's development. A satellite gap of any length will have a large impact on the meteorological community. Weather satellites provide invaluable data to forecasters. Polar orbiting satellites account for 80% of data that gets put into computer model forecasts regarding current conditions. It is that data that allows meteorologists to make predictions several days in advance. To better understand how much of an impact it will have, let's take a look at Superstorm Sandy from 2012 with and without this data.
Here in this image is the European model's prediction of Superstorm Sandy before its eventual landfall on the Jersey Shore. Now take a look what happens when the polar orbiting data is taken out of the European model at the exact same moment. As you can see, the difference is astonishing. Without that data, the model would have predicted Sandy moving out into the North Atlantic. This is a significant difference in prediction and one that could have dire consequences, as the property damages and death tolls from Superstorm Sandy would have been significantly higher if we were without this crucial data. And that is the fear among meteorologists, that without this data, the ability to predict major weather events such as floods, tornadoes, even the path of the hurricanes, can put lives and property in harm's way, especially if it's towards heavily populated areas like where Superstorm Sandy eventually made landfall.
There are several potential solutions to this problem. The first and likely best option is to launch a replacement satellite for the satellite in question. However, right now the replacement satellites aren't scheduled to go up until 2018. Another alternative is that we use satellites from other organizations, such as the European Union or the Chinese, to get the data. The problem with that alternative is that it would be somewhat less data that would go into our computer models to accurately predict the weather. Without this data, graphics like these would become obsolete. These images are vital to weather forecasting and the meteorological community at large. If a solid solution is not found soon, our forecasting abilities will be degraded. This potential satellite gap is expected to occur in 2016 and is predicted to last for longer than a year if current predictions hold true. For Up in the Air, I'm Sean Romeo.
And I'm Daniel Pettite.